The Chelsea has already signed this 19-year-old lad, Jamie Bynoe-Gittens, an English prospect who shone at Borussia Dortmund and whom many compare to Jadon Sancho. So to understand why he's made this big leap, I've watched all his matches. Plus, we'll go over his story, from his childhood in London to his consolidation in the Bundesliga. But his path could have been very different. As a child, he almost quit football due to a shoulder injury, but seeing what he's achieved, it seems he chose well. Because how many 19-year-olds debut in the Champions League, assist in a Bayern Klassiker, and end up signing for a club like Chelsea for over 40 million euros? You'll see all that and much more here. His time at Manchester City, his best performances with Dortmund, and how Maresca plans to make him a key piece in the New Blue project. I'm Sergey, and this is King of the Ball. But before we start, subscribe. Jamie Bynoe-Gittens was born on August 8th, 2004 in London, a city that exhales football on every corner, but is also one of the most competitive places for any kid dreaming of turning pro. From a young age, Jamie stood out for abilities far beyond what's normal for his age. He had natural ball control, an almost instinctive change of pace, and a confidence that defied his youth. His surroundings quickly realised he wasn't just any child. His coaches recall that at just 8 years old, he was already capable of running past much older defenders on local pitches. He loved to improvise, create, take risks. Jamie didn't just play football, he interpreted it. In school, he was reserved. But with a ball at his feet, he was another person, outgoing, bold, even rebellious. He didn't come from a footballing family with connections or privileges, but he did grow up in a home that valued effort and passion. His mother was a key figure, accompanying him to every training session and instilling in him the mindset needed to thrive in such a competitive environment. It wasn't all easy. At an age when many are only thinking about having fun, Jamie had to deal with a shoulder injury that kept him off the field for several months. It was a hard blow, but also a moment that strengthened his character and reaffirmed his love for the game. Shortly after, at just 11 years old, he was named player of the tournament in a local competition, outshining kids from much larger academies. That trophy was more than a prize. It was a signal that he was on the right path. Unlike other talents, Bynoe-Gittens didn't fixate on fame or social media. His focus was pure football. He trained into the evening until the sun set, and if there was no ball available, he recorded himself imitating his idols. Neymar, Hazard, Ronaldinho, names that shaped his style, yet he interpreted them in his own way. London offered him tough conditions, cramped pitches, physical opponents, ever-changing weather. All of that forged in him a particular resilience, a mentality that blended flair with discipline. From London to the heart of Europe, that's how a star is made. Jamie started playing football in the streets of London with a deflated ball and 2 backpacks as goalposts. There was no tactics, just creativity and street hustle. Reading spotted him at 11 years old in a school tournament and signed him without a second thought. The moment he stepped into the academy, they knew they had something special. It wasn't just his electric dribbling or impossible speed, it was how he saw the pitch. Reading the game as if he had a bird's-eye view. At 12, he was already playing with 14-year-olds. In a friendly against West Ham, he left his fullback sitting down twice in under a minute. The opposing coach only said, "That lad can't be that age." In 2018, Manchester City signed him at just 14. He arrived in a new city, at one of Europe's most demanding academies. First training, a crazy pace. Jamie barely blinked. 2 nutmegs in the first half hour. Soon he was training with the older kids. He played as a winger, an inside forward, even as a wing-back. He wanted to learn everything. He watched Neymar and David Silva videos, stayed after training to work on his strong foot, and asked how to get more explosive. He lived to improve, but something didn't quite fit. At City, real first-team chances were distant, and when the offer from Borussia Dortmund arrived, he didn't hesitate. Jamie didn't want to wait. He wanted to play. And he knew that in Germany, if you were good, you played. It was that simple. At only 16, Jamie Bynoe-Gittens left everything behind. Family, friends, language, country. He boarded a plane with a suitcase full of dreams and landed in Dortmund, a city he didn't know and a language he didn't speak. But he didn't care. Because he knew that there, if you were good, you played. And he wanted to play. Borussia Dortmund signed him in 2020, right when Jadon Sancho was preparing to move to Manchester United. And it wasn't a coincidence. The German club saw him as Sancho's heir. Another English winger, electric, vertical, unpredictable. The early months weren't easy. German was a fortress, tactical instructions were a challenge, and the food, let's just say he missed London. But on the pitch, everything clicked. From his first training with the U19s, Jamie shattered expectations. Dribbles, assists, movements into inside channels. Sometimes he looked more like a number 10 than a winger. In his first youth Klassiker against Schalke, he provided an assist. From that day, the locker room looked at him differently. He rose fast. In less than a year, he was training with the first team. Being alongside Haaland, Roos and Bellingham was a different world. But Jamie earned respect with every sprint, every demanded ball, every play. The club's faith in him didn't waver, even when a shoulder injury sidelined him for weeks. They renewed his contract and kept him firmly in their project. He shared dressing room with Moukoko, Reina, Adeyemi. He learned to defend better, to play simpler when needed, to be efficient. He shone in the UEFA Youth League, and every time he featured for the first team, he left his mark. A cut inside dribble, a goal. Dortmund gave him what he was looking for: minutes, freedom, confidence. There he stopped being just a prospect and began to look like a star in the making. He debuted in the Bundesliga in 2022 at just 17 years old. They threw him into a tough match, one of those games where you either hide or you shine. Jamie chose to shine. He didn't score, but took on defenders, offered himself, caused chaos. He showed character. In his second game, an assist. In the third, a goal. And not just any goal. A run from the wing, a slick cut and a left-footed strike to the far post. That's how he introduced himself to the elite. Gradually, he earned minutes. First off the bench, then as a genuine first-team option. Every time he stepped on the pitch, he left a trace, a dribble, an assist, a burst of pace that shattered defences. The coaching staff valued him, the locker room respected him, but not everything was perfect. Muscular injuries and a shoulder relapse halted his momentum at key moments. Still, he always returned better, stronger, more mature. He also had key minutes in the Champions League. He didn't shrink. He was one of the few who, in big games, asked for the ball. He ended the season with several goals, assists, and a clear consensus. This kid isn't just the future, he's the present. His consolidation wasn't meteoric, it was deserved. He earned every step. And now, no one doubts he's here to stay. After a season where he shone every time his body allowed it, Jamie Bynoe-Gittens' name began circulating among Europe's elite. Bayern was tracking him. Arsenal showed interest. But it was Chelsea that went all in. They wanted him as a key piece in their new young side, led by Enzo Maresca, a team built for vertical, fast football with game-changing wingers. Gittens was a perfect fit. The transfer went through at over €40 million, a serious investment in a player who, despite being just 19, already knows what it feels like to play in the Champions League, score in the Bundesliga, and come back from tough injuries. He signed a long-term contract with full club faith and a clear message. He's not here to fill the squad, he's here to make a difference. Technically, he's one of the best of his generation. Lethal one-on-one, tight dribble, burst of pace, but also calm and vision. He can play on either wing, even as a support striker. Last season, he averaged 1.8 successful dribbles per game, an 83% passing accuracy in the final third, and created over 30 clear chances across all competitions. But his impact goes beyond numbers. It's in what happens when he touches the ball. Something is about to happen. That said, there are things to improve. His defensive intensity is inconsistent, and sometimes he gets lost when tracking back, and muscle injuries remain a concern. But his mentality is strong, and so is his support network. He's not easily dazzled. He's lived each step. He saw what it cost in Dortmund. This signing is more than just a market move. It's a homecoming. Jamie, the kid who left England searching for an opportunity, returns as a fully formed player, and he's back to stay. At Stamford Bridge, he's not seen as a prospect. They see him as part of the immediate future. English football regains him, and Chelsea gains a talent who's already shown he can shine where it matters most, on the pitch. If stories like this move you, subscribe and join me in discovering the heart behind each future star. This is just the beginning. Preguntara ChatGPT.